Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to look at a simple lo-fi hip-hop chord progression. I'm going to play it for you first, and then we'll break it down. Okay, let's talk about the progression. I'm going to break it down in a few steps, and I'd like to start out by just playing the basic chords I've used in this progression. So it starts out with a B minor, which goes to an E major, and I'm playing simple chords in their triad form in root positions, which goes to an A minor, D major, and then D minor, D flat minor, C minor, F major, and then it repeats. Now obviously the progression you've heard was more complicated, and we're going to build it up now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add tensions to each chord, and then we're going to shift notes around. That's called inversions or doublings and so on. So for example, instead of playing a simple B minor chord, which is a B, D, and F sharp, I'm going to add the 7th, 9th, and 11th degrees of the B major scale. Now this has a nice lush sound to it, but I'm going to do two more things. I'm going to move or double this A down here. I'm going to move this F sharp down here. And this is the form of the first chord I've used. This is a B minor chord. Of course, it has some embellishments, so higher degrees which add color. The next chord is an E major, but it's really played this way. So we're going to do a few things. First of all, we're going to take the E major basic form. We're going to add the 7th degree, 9th, and 11th. Now, to add color to this, we're going to raise or augment the 5th degree, which means that we're going to raise it by a semitone. And I'm going to also sharpen or raise this 11th degree. So this is a sharp 11th, or it could be also thought of as a flat 5. And now all we have to do is double or move notes around. So for example, I'm going to take this A flat and double it up here. I'm going to take this C and double it up here. And I'm going to take this E and double it up here. And I'm going to take this B flat and move it down here. And I'm actually going to omit this F sharp. It's a sort of intermediate degree. It's the 9th. But we already have the sharp 11th. And basically, that's pretty much it. You can omit this or add this C major here. It's already up here, so you can double it or not. And here is the second chord I've played. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, this is very complicated. How would I know to do this? And the answer is, the way music works, the way learning chords works, is you basically get to know some forms that you use over and over again. So I don't know an infinite number of chords, although it seems that there might be an infinite number of combinations. I just happen to know and memorize this particular form for each of the different root or degrees or notes on this keyboard. So I have this form memorized in 12 different chords. And this is kind of how you learn these ways of just pulling up chords that sound really nice very fast. Of course, it needs practice. Now, after this B minor to E major, there's an A minor to D major. And this is actually the exact same progression, but just transposed down 2 semitones or 1 whole tone. And in fact, the chords I played are almost a simple transposition of the first 2 chords. So this B minor chord, if you take it down a semitone and then another one, you get a lush sounding A minor chord, and this is the 3rd chord I've played. Let's take this E major chord, that was the 2nd chord we've played, and move it down a bit. So this is 1 and this is 2. Now this is a bit different from what I've played, which was this. So instead of playing these 2 notes, I'm playing these 3 notes. And these can all be thought of as different tensions. This is the same as this. And you might recognize this as the sharp 11 or flat 5. And this guy over here is a flattened 9th. These 2 are just the 7th and root, C and D. In other words, if I were to take the D major scale and add the 1st, 3rd, 5th, flattened 7th, because we're playing a dominant chord, 9th, and 11th degrees, then I could take the 5th and flatten it, and I could take the 9th here and flatten it, and I could take this 11th and raise it, which is the same as a flattened 5th. And I can take then this C and double it up here. Now the next chord is a D minor, and it's kind of similar to the A minor and B minor we've seen, but voiced slightly differently. What do I mean? Well, here's a D minor chord. We add the 7th, 9th, and 11th degrees, and now we just move around and double. So for example, I'm going to take this A here and double it up here, this F here and double it up here. I'm going to omit this, actually I'm going to omit this 11th degree, so it's going to just be a D9. And I'm going to either keep this D minor here or just play these 2 notes, because I already have this F up here. So here's our chord, a D minor chord, pretty nice sounding. And now all we do is transpose it down 1 semitone. So going from here to here, and another semitone to a C minor. You can also do this with a slightly different voicing, which I used in the demonstration, which is this, which is in fact a simpler chord. This is a D minor 7, but just taking this structure up here, this F, A, and C, and doubling it up here, F, A, and C. And then again going down 1 semitone, and then another. And then finally the last chord is this F, or dominant F7 with additional higher degrees. So let's see how we construct this. Here's the F major chord, here's the dominant 7, 9th, 11th, and 13th. You can add this A here or omit it. It doesn't matter in the sense that we already have it up here. So the moment you have a note in your chord, you can double it or not. It will not change the nature of the chord. The last 2 chords, this C minor to F 13th, or just F, dominant 7, is what's called a 2-5 progression, and this is the same really as the original B minor to E, that's a 2-5, A minor to D, that's a 2-5, and then C minor to F, that's a 2-5 progression. It's called a 2-5 because you can think of C minor and F major as the 2nd and 5th degrees of the B flat major scale. And a chord built on the 2nd minor naturally leads to a chord built on the 5th major. If this is a bit too complicated, you can remember it more easily by realizing that any minor chord, say E minor, leads naturally to a major chord that is 5 semitones above it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is an A, so this leads to an A major. So an E minor leads to an A major, just like a B minor leads to an E major. With the right voicing, as you've seen, it can sound quite sort of pleasing to the ear. So I hope you've learned some tricks on how to voice these chords, some ideas on using chromatic progressions, so these chords going down in semitones, and a little bit of theory on changing higher tensions, adding higher tensions, a little bit about the 2-5 progression, and that's it. I hope you've learned something interesting, and I'll see you next time.